What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. We got a ton of work to do in this video. You can see here we got an enormous pile of parts we got to install onto the FJ40. Yes, it's all custom stuff. We got to do power steering lines, power steering cooler, all the automatic transmission lines and the transmission cooler. We finally got in our throttle cable here. It's kind of a universal job that actually should work pretty good. We're gonna start with that. It's gonna be pretty simple. We do have to make like a little adapter plate to bolt the cable through the firewall because there is quite a big hole in the firewall, and then probably make a new mount right here for the actual the cable holder for the throttle body up front. So I want to do that first, get that knocked out, and then we got this cooler here, which is for my power steering. Yes, it is pretty small. That's like 3 times the size of the factory one, so I think that'll work just fine. In here, there's the, is that the right one I had? No, that was the original I was gonna use for the power steering. That one ended up being too big. I got another one over here. Yeah, this one right here I'm going to use for the transmission. It's got the 6AN fittings on it already, and then I just bought this entire kit that's kind of specific for this transmission, which is all the 6AN stuff. So we got all that we got to figure out, and then all the lines for our hydraulic steering. We already tapped the box here. We got feed, I believe that's feed, I believe that one's return, and then my ram is actually up in the loft, but we got a hydraulic ram that goes from that clamp there to the mount on the axle. We got to run our lines from the box to that ram, and then basically run power steering lines from the pump to the Hydroboost. From the Hydroboost runs down to the steering box, and then we got our returns, which run from the steering box to the pump, and then from the pump to the Hydroboost. So it is quite an elaborate system with that Hydroboost, because instead of using vacuum to power the brakes, it uses power steering. That's kind of the point of the Hydroboost, to kind of get away with the vacuum and go power everything with the power steering. So I think it is a lot more reliable and it's a lot more powerful. Well, ain't nothing going right today. We got the cable working, but I cut it way too short, and then I kept cutting these brackets wrong. So we finally got it dialed in. I do have to wait for my other cable because, like I said, it's too short. But I didn't really, I mean, I knew, but I was kind of in a hurry. This throttle pedal had way more travel than the throttle body did, so I had to build a stop for it here, because obviously the farther up your pedal is, the more it's very, very annoying when your pedal's super high. So we want it to basically bottom out on the floorboard. So I had to build that stop for it up here, and you can see it's pulling that cable like probably about 1 inch. So you can see we only have like 1 inch of actual throttle, so we need just a longer cable. Other than that, we should be good to go. Let's jump on some cooler stuff. And also, one other thing that we got here that we got to do today is these heater lines. For these just go right off the water pump back to inside the cab into the heater core. So these are just a 90 with like 5 feet of straight. It's gonna be pretty simple, but we just got to run it from those fittings right there up into the cab to that heater core. Well, that took way too long building all these mounts and everything, but it turned out really good. I am very happy with that. Kind of up out of the way, mounted up here, and then I did have to go from 3/4 to 5/8 because both heater core inlet and outlet are 5/8. So we got that right to there. We should be good to go on coolant. So let's go transmission. So we got fittings that go into these ports here, and then we got to run our AN line. It's 6 AN. I haven't decided what side I want to go up. I might go, I don't know, there might be more room on the driver's side, but either way, we got to run our lines from there all the way up to here. We got to mount our cooler up here, and then we will I don't know, we got to kind of do both at the same time because power steering and transmission coolers are going to go right on the front of the radiator, and then we can plumb all the power steering lines. All right, we got transmission done. That wasn't too bad. We kind of wrapped it around the frame, or kind of wrapped it alongside of the frame, kept it away from the exhaust up there, got it all mounted up. We are looking good there. Now we got to tackle power steering. We got all of our fittings here for the Hydroboost. I already threw some fittings on the box and the pump, but Hydroboost fittings are here, and then we got a bunch of these 90s. We got some of the high pressure, this is actually Fragola hose. It's a PTFE AN6, so we're going to use that for all of our feed. The return doesn't really need AN plus. I just buy more fittings and everything. I'm just going to go 3/8, just regular hot soft line. And then this here is a filter. We're going to run this going either to or from, you want to run this on the return line, either to, probably from the cooler here. So we're going to run, basically the return system goes from the box to the pump here, and then this actually has 2 returns on it. This is the power steering pump for the Hydroboost system, so it has 2 returns on it. So that return will go back up to here, but I'm going to go from the box here out to the cooler, from the cooler to the pump, from the pump to the Hydroboost. And then as far as feed lines go, we go from the fitting here, that's a high pressure line, to the Hydroboost on that side. This side feeds the steering box here, and then like I said, goes from return from there. And then we got feed and return here for our hydraulic ram on the axle here.